So this is the typical cross-join syntax, and it's very much familiar to the kind of statements that we have been using in the previous sessions about the select and the from statements. And as you can see, I am using the select clause and the from clause again. And the from clause, I am referring to two tables instead of just one. So the two tables are the claim table and diagnosis table. And you can see that I am referring these tables by their aliases of A and B respectively. So another thing that you would notice from this syntax is that in the select statement, I'm not straight away using a select all or some specific variables. I've instead written called a dot star comma b dot star. Now the essential meaning of a dot star comma b dot star is that I'm trying to select all of the variables from the data set represented by A, and I'm also trying to collect all the variables from the data set represented by B. This syntax would give me a combination of results from both of these tables, table A and table B. And let's go to Access and try running up a realistic example on this from our two data sets, typical data sets, that is the paycheck data set and the other one being the biodata data set. Now I have written that I need to select all of the variables from the first data set and all of the variables from the B data set, and the two data sets I'm referring to here are the biodata and the paycheck. So let's try running this, and so this is the kind of result that that has came up over here. So let's try to verify the number of rows and the kind of variables that have came up from understanding of the way cross join works. So the first thing to be noticed is that the first data set had just 11 rows, and the next data set, biodata data set, also had 11 rows. Now, if you recall from our previous session, whenever a cross join is performed and the number of rows that are going to eventually turn up in the resultant data set is going to be simply the multiplication of the rows in the first table to the rows in the second table. That is, since we have 11 in the first one and 11 in the second, the number of rows that are going to be returned are 11 into 11, that is 121. So as you can see, it is indicating that the total number of rows is 121, and I can go on to the last row in the table, click on it, and you can see that the last row in this table is actually 121 in number. So this verifies it. But there is still one more information that we need to verify when it comes to the variables. Now, if you have noticed in the query that we wrote over here, we selected all of the variables from the first one and all of the variables from the second table. So there were indeed some variables which were common to both ID, which were common to both of the tables, and those were the ID, the employee code, the first name, last name, and as you can see that it is again the same case for ID, employee code, first name, and last name. When we ran this query, SQL MS Access gave us a result in which you can see that the ID variable appears twice, and not just in this column and in this column, but both of these ID variables have been preceded with the A dot or B dot, this alphabets. Now the reason it has preceded these variables with the with A dot or B dot is that it is simply telling me that this ID variable was extracted from the table which had an alias of A. So the table which had an alias of A was biodata. So this ID variable was extracted from the biodata variable from the biodata set, and this variable was extracted from the table which had an alias of B, which is the paycheck data set. And the same kind of logic holds for the other all variables also, which were common to both of the data sets. You're going to have A dot or a B dot preceding them whenever you are using them in a cross join syntax. It is not really necessary to extract all of the variables from both of these data sets. We can go ahead and select information from some specific information from different data sets, and let's say I only want the employee code, and I want the salary, and I want years with us for the individual. Now this creates a problem for us because you might wonder, employee code is in both of these data sets, and it's no way of SQL knowing that from which table should it extract the employee code, because there could be conflict. Although these values are same in these two tables, but in other tables, big tables, these values might be quite different. And SQL encounters a problem that which is the table from where it should extract the employee code. The same thing goes for the years with us variable also. It is present only in the biodata table and it is not present in the paycheck table over here. So to avoid this kind of a problem, all we need to do is we need to precede the name of the variables with the data set from which they should be extracted. So since I want my employee code to be extracted from biodata, so I'm going to precede it with a dot. I want the salary to be extracted from my paycheck data set, so I'm going to precede it with b dot. And I want years with us to be extracted from biodata, so I'm going to precede it with a dot. So let's try running this query, and the result of this query would be just three variables extracted from both of these data sets using a Cartesian join. So this is what you get. So right now it has simply picked up the respective variables from these two tables and performed up a Cartesian join on them. So this was all about the Cartesian join in MS Access SQL. In the next session, we're going to discuss about the inner joins. Stay tuned for it. Thank you for watching.